Now, the first thing to note, and what we're going to focus on today, is that before Jesus did anything, he took the blind man and he led him out of that environment. So why is that important? Because we see, even with how powerful Jesus is, he still understands the importance of environment.
Amen.
Now, it seems like that's a principle we may struggle with today. So I'm going to ask a question. You don't have to raise your hand, you don't have to tell me yourself if you don't want to. But how many of us have said, you know what? I want to lose weight. Yet we still stop. I said you didn't have to tell me yourself. So we say we want to lose weight, but we find ourselves still going to that same Chick-fil-A, ordering that same spicy chicken sandwich, all fried cream milkshake.
You know?
How many of us say we want to be more financially responsible? Yet we find ourselves every weekend in somebody's mall or somebody's sale. How many students here say, you know what, I want to excel in class, yet we find ourselves spending more time in parties than we do in our books? So our intention or our purpose is good. However, the environment that we find ourselves in can only create the opposite of what it is that we want. Now, let's look at the emphasis that God put on environment. When we look at Genesis, we find that God created the environment for the thing before he created the thing. Before God created fish, he created the sea.
All right.
Before he created the plant, he created the dirt.
All right.
Before he created the birds, he created the sky.
All right.
And before he created you and I, he created Eden.
All right.
Come on now.
So, let's flip that. Let's imagine for a moment it was the opposite to the opposite. So rather than he created birds before the sky, where would those birds fly?
That's right. All right.
What if he created fish before the sea? Where would those fish be?
All right. All right.
Now, I know that image seems a little bit ridiculous, so let's take it a step further. Say we have two powerful creatures. We have a great white shark, one of the oldest living creatures in the sea, and we have a lion, king of the jungle. You take that shark out of its natural environment, you take it out of the sea and drop it on dry land, what's going to happen? See, I know I have some smart people here. Say you take that lion, you take the lion out of its natural habitat and you drop it into the deep ocean, what's going to happen? Same thing. So, both of those creatures are very powerful in their natural environment. However, once you remove them from their natural environment, they lose their power. So again, let's get back to you and I. So we see that God created Eden before he created us. So Eden is our natural environment. Now before we get too deep into that, let's pause there for a second. So I know as a kid, when I first heard the creation story, I was like, you know what? I want to find out what Eden is. You know, and as a child, I was pretty good in history and social studies and all that. So I'm like, all right, two of the rivers they talk about is the Euphrates and the Tigris River. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go through my textbooks and all that other stuff. I know, all right, that's near Mesopotamia, over in the Middle East. But I was never able to find Eden. Matter of fact, nobody has been able to find the physical place of Eden today. Interesting, isn't it? Now, if we look at the word Eden, if we translate the Hebrew word Eden, it means a delightful spot. Now, why was Eden so delightful? Well, if we look at it, we realize that Adam was directly in the presence of God. So whenever Adam wanted to speak to God, he never had to pray. He didn't have to go to church. He didn't have to fast. He didn't have to sing songs or anything. He just talked to God.
All right.
And let's take another look. When Adam and Eve ate the fruit from the forbidden tree, what happened next? They said they heard God walking in the garden. And they hid behind a tree because they was afraid that God would see them because they were embarrassed of their nakedness. Now imagine for a moment how much in the presence of God you have to be to think that you could physically hide behind something to avoid his gaze. He even asked, where are you? to be that much in the presence of God really must have been a delightful thing. Alright, so we have that the natural environment for man is Eden. And we understand that Eden is a delightful place because we're in the presence of God. So we realize that our natural environment is the presence of God.
All right.
So again, let's take a look at those two predators. So you have the shark and the lion. So again, you take the shark out of that water, out of its natural environment, you put something in that environment that shouldn't be there. That shark is going to malfunction and die. That lion, you take the lion out of its natural environment and place something in that environment that shouldn't be there, the lion is going to malfunction and die. And when it comes to us, when it comes to man, if you take man out of our natural environment, or if you introduce a serpent into that garden that shouldn't be there, man is going to malfunction. And we would have died if not for grace.
Amen.
Amen.
So again, our environment is the first thing that we must be aware of. We need to recognize that we're not in the environment that we should be. We need to change it. If we have something in that environment that shouldn't be there, we need to get rid of it.
All right. All right.
So I'm going to get a little personal.
All right. Go ahead.
So what was my environment?
All right.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York in the 80s. My first crib was the dresser drawer of my parents' dresser.
All right.
I literally saw my parents fight and break up. And my parents weren't together, so it just seemed to make sense that my parents would be together. So my brother and I eventually went to live with our great-grandmother in one of the poorest parts of the United States, the South Bronx. Now, what was that environment like? The staircase smelled like urine. The lobby filled with drug dealers. At night, my grandmother would tell my brother and I, get away from the window, close the blinds, and turn off the lights before somebody shoots in here. So that was my environment for a year. And every day during that year, I would receive a phone call. And the voice on the other end would ask, who do you want to live with, your father or me? And I responded daily with the same answer in my tiny voice. I want to live with both of you all. And I was like, not with one. So daily I would get that phone call and give the same answer until one time I said, me and my brother will live with you. And so that was the first life-changing phone call. So we went from living in the 5th story of a project building to the basement of my aunt's house, to a condo, to a house that we can call our own. So I got to see firsthand what hard work and dedication can do.
Amen. Amen.
And so myself, I was fortunate that I graduated high school, went to college, got an academic scholarship, graduated in 4 years, and started working in corporate America.
Amen.
But even with all that, I still felt like something was missing.
Wow.
And as God said to Adam in Genesis 3:17, the ground is cursed because of you. For the rest of your days, you will struggle to scratch a living from it. So, you see, I was working hard to make a living, but I wasn't living a life. So, I realized I was malfunctioning because I wasn't in my natural environment. I wasn't in God's presence.
Amen.
So I remember hitting a wall because I knew life had to be more than going to work, to making money, to pay bills, to go to sleep, to wake up, to do it all over again. Some people might feel like how I did. So I knew God had a purpose for my life. I just couldn't see it at the time.
All right.
And 3 years ago, I remember having a conversation over the phone with a friend. And she got me to open my Bible and realize how much more difficult I was making my life because I tried to do everything on my own. And one of the passages that we talked about was Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6.
Amen.
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not into your own understanding.
Mhm.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
Amen.
So this was the second life-changing phone call of my life. Now the caller ID might have said Juju, but on the other end it was God. He was calling me back to his presence.
Amen.
And since then he has given my life purpose and brought joy back into my life. Since then my surroundings have changed.
Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Where I live, where I work, whom I associate with. Because any or all of those things could jeopardize the purpose that he's given me or the assignment that he's given me.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
So I ask you today, what environment are you in?
Mhm. Amen.
Are you in the natural environment that God has created for you?
Amen.
Are you living in God's presence, or are you still living the curse of Adam, still struggling to scratch a living? Students, are you excelling in class?
Amen.
Or are you struggling to get B's and C's?
Oh, right now.
Who do you associate with? Are you around underage students?
Amen.
Are you around those who are content with just living a mediocre life?
All right. Amen. All right. Amen.
Adults, are we living in the purpose that God has given us?
Amen. Amen.
Who do we surround ourselves with? Do we find ourselves around others with a similar purpose?
Mhm.
Or do we hang out with those who are disobedient to God,
All
who
right.
have decided not to follow the assignment that He's given their lives?
Mhm.
When you speak to your friends, do they encourage you?
All right.
Do they encourage you to, work out, read, go to church, do something to improve your life?
Amen.
Or they encourage you to do the opposite? Go to Chick-fil-A, go to
All right. Amen.
Husbands,
Amen.
what type of environment are you creating for your wives?
All right. Amen.
Are you her foundation? Are you loving her?
That's right.
Are you teaching her? Are you cultivating her?
Amen.
All right.
Wives, what type of environment are you creating for your husband?
Amen. Amen.
Do you respect him?
Amen.
Are you helping him with the assignment that God has given him?
Amen.
All right.
So, I ask you again, what condition or surroundings do you live or operate? And if you can't see very clearly right now, if you don't know, it may be time for you to change your environment.
All right.
This way God can perform a miracle in your life and open your eyes. So that's all I got. Amen.